Today we will be constructing the Ascending Lotus Intention Crystal Bag Kit. First, you want to get out your painting supplies, your brush, your cardstock, your paint. You'll also want to pull out the stencil and the bag itself. You'll place a very small dab of paint onto your cardstock. I put a little too much myself, so aim for about half of what you see me put. That extra cardstock area comes in handy when you need to brush some excess paint off of your paintbrush later. Now, some of the bags come with a shiny leather backing. Some are both suede sides and some have a shiny side. Make sure that you pick the suede side. That way the paint really adheres to the leather and it all goes smoothly. Now you want to find just the right spot. Too high could cause the top petals to pucker from the drawstring, and too low might not be what you'd prefer. Take your time finding just the right spot for your lotus to end up. Now you might notice that those lower petals do reach the holes, and that's okay. Just position them between the holes. Now you're going to want to hold that stencil very firmly. That's key in this process to ensure that the paint doesn't seep under the edges. Get a very small amount of paint on your paintbrush. Nothing too thick. You want it to be very light so it doesn't bleed under the edges. You'll want to come down in short sweeping motions, pressing in short sweeping motions. I wouldn't recommend long sweeps across the stencil, as this can cause it to go under the edges as well. Pay extra attention to the tips of the petals. That's an easy part to overlook, and once you pull up that stencil, it's very challenging getting exactly over the lotus design just so again and painting it over again. So I'd recommend approaching it as though you get one chance to get it just how you want it before you pull up that stencil. Again, pressing firmly. That's a very important point of this process. Now you'll find that you'll go over your lotus at least a couple times, maybe even 3. The goal is to make that color nice and rich and dense, but not too excessive where it becomes messy or seemingly soggy. And once you've got it just right, you're going to want to use your paper towel and clean off your hands. I just kind of rub my hands together and the paint dries quickly and it's not a problem for me. But paper towel comes in handy if you're not used to doing it that way. And when you're ready, you're going to gently peel the stencil upward at an angle, carefully not to disturb the paint. And there you have it, a beautiful lotus. Now this is a good time to pause the video and let your lotus dry for about 15 minutes to ensure there's no smearing. I've been doing this a long time, so I just kind of went onward and continued because I wanted to get this all done in this one video. Take your time to let it dry and then join us. And then pull out your needle when you're ready. Now we'll find the bag titled Side Lace. These will be our 2 longer lacing cords that'll go down the sides of the bag. Make sure to set aside all of your paint materials. That way you don't take any chance that paint gets anywhere on your bag you don't wish for it to get. I do aim to cut all of your cord to angles, to sharp angles, to ensure that you can easily slide it onto that needle eye, into that needle eye. Occasionally I might miss one, so if you notice a squared end, go ahead and just cut it to a sharp point. That way it slides in easily for you. Now I'd say to have about an inch hanging out, an inch tail, and if you do find that the lace cord just keeps wanting to pop out of your needle for some reason, you can always make the tail a little bit longer so it stays in better. We're going to go in through the front, and we're just going to travel down the holes until you get to that very center hole at the bottom. And you want the shiny side of the leather to be the side that's showing. This adds a beautiful contrast with the suede. Allow yourself to connect deeply with the intention of this bag. While I designed it and prepared it for you, it is your creation. You are the one breathing life into it. Now, if you do find that you start to run short on the cord as you get to the bottom, you can take excess from the top and move it down. And continuing onward until we reach that last hole at the bottom. Now we'll continue with the other side exactly as we did. Going in through the front again. And traveling down the path of holes until you reach that same exact hole at the bottom. Allow yourself to relax into a meditative state. Allow yourself to connect with this vision of your higher self that you know to be true. Continuing down. Now you will notice that when we get to the bottom, I do an extra step that is not necessary. I have another bag design that I do quite often, and it does require one last lace through, and I just got a little forgetful in that moment. So I'll let you know when we get to that spot. Now you might notice there's some overhang of the leather from the back. See how it doesn't quite fully match up? If you want to, you can just cut off that excess. And if you don't feel comfortable doing so, that's perfectly fine. And now here's that step that you don't need to do. And thankfully, it's a pretty short one. Not quite right. Okay, there we go. Back on track. So now you can place your bag face down and just tie it once on the back. Go ahead and cut off the excess, but not too close. And now we're going to find the bag that's titled Side Ties. These will be 2 short pieces that go through those top holes to finish off the top lacing area so that it's nice and closed off and nothing can unravel or undo. Go in through the back. I find that making those 2 front pieces about the same length helps me tie it better. I like making the tie in the front. And just cut off the excess. Again, not too close to the tie though. And then doing the same with the other side. Same thing going through the back. And tying it off. Feel free to tie it on the back side if that's what you feel called to do. Each of your bags will have already had the drawstring holes punched. I just forgot to do it with my sample bag here, so you'll see me punch the holes right now. And now you'll find the little bag titled Drawstring. Lace it onto the needle. Now you're going to go in through the back, through one of those 2 middle holes. Go in, go out. Go in, go out through the front. And you can do it 1 hole at a time if that's what works best for you. In, out, through the front, to the back again. And all the way to that last hole. So both of your cords are coming out of 2 holes that are side by side on the back side. Try to make the cords about the same length so that you can easily get your drawstring bead on. And you'll find the bag in your box that's titled Charm and Bead. Now, if the tips aren't points, make sure to cut them to points so that your bead slides easily over them. And you'll tie a knot at the bottom of each one, leaving about a ½ inch to an inch tail at the very bottom. This keeps the drawstring bead from falling off when you open it. And now it's time to add the charm. Find the bag titled Charm Cord. Lace it onto the needle and put it through the hole that is close to the top near the drawstring holes. It's a hole that was used to lace the side cord, not the drawstring. You'll pull it through so that there's a longer amount coming out the front and a shorter amount coming out the back for now. Make sure that that part is nice and pointed so that your charm can easily slide on. Slide your charm on. And now you're going to take that front cord and put it through that same hole going out the back. And then you'll tie a knot with those two pieces together on the back. Cut off any excess. And there you go, your Ascending Lotus bag. Now's a wonderful time to pull out your companion crystal. Take a moment to really connect with it, look at it, feel into the energy of how these two pieces come together. And then place it in your bag. This bag has extra space within it, so if there's any other special items that really call to you for this intention, make sure to place them in your bag. I hope sincerely that this bag serves you well.